Okay, as I'm sitting my broker's open, waiting for people to come here in Waikiki, I want to tell you a story about two different tales that are happening right now in the condo market here in Honolulu. First off, I'm going to tell you about a condo I sold right around the corner here in Waikiki, and then we're going to dive into another condo I sold several miles down the road in Kakaako. And then if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to tell you what's happening in Makiki. So three major neighborhoods for Honolulu Condos here on Oahu: Waikiki, Kakaako, and Makiki. So first, let's dive into what happened in Waikiki. So the condo market here in Waikiki and Honolulu in general, I've been talking about this for several years now, has definitely been a buyer's market. There's a trifecta of what's been happening here. It's been starting in the beginning of 2024 with condo insurance has been extremely difficult to get here in Honolulu and on Oahu, and for the state of Hawaii for that matter. One of the reasons was after the fires on Maui, insurance got crazy. I did a video on that. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, and I'm going to post a link here. Next up, the second thing is fire protection and sprinklers. There's been a lot of buildings in town that have had assessments with that. I'm going to post another link to that here. And then last but not least is plumbing in some older buildings in Honolulu, buildings built in the 60s and 70s that are having to redo their plumbing. Now, with that said, the first place we're going to talk about is Liliuokalani Plaza. It's a condo I just closed on last week. I had two closings last week, and that's how I started this off with. We have two different stories of what's happening in the market. So at Liliuokalani Plaza, we just sold a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square foot condo here in Waikiki for $415,000. You heard that right. When I was first talking to that seller several years ago, we were thinking about listing in the mid 600,000 range. So that's really showing you what's been happening in the condo market here in Waikiki. I have a feeling, and I've been preaching this for a while, those that buy now today are going to look back several, I guess, 3, 4, 5 years from now and look back in time, and this is the best time to be buying. I've got some other examples we're going to hit the end when we talk about Makiki. Meanwhile, that same day, I had another closing at the Collection in Kakaako. That was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. This is going to be on the far downtown side of Kakaako, and that's a 10-year-old building. And on that one, the last two sales of that floor plan were $1,375,000. Now, when I met with my seller, she's like, I want $1,450,000. Well, which is $75,000 over. And meanwhile, those last two comps were on higher floors, and one of them had an extra storage locker or unit per se. And so I knew I had a tough job ahead of me, but lo and behold, we ended up getting $1,425,000, which is basically $50,000 above the comps that sold on higher floors. Now, that circumstance, we just really lucked out. We did get a 1031 exchange buyer that sold something and needed to place their money into another property. So that's a little bit of an outlier, but what's happening in our condo market here is, for the last several years, as I talked about, inventory has been increasing and increasing and increasing every month. That's what I've been talking about. Well, last month was the first time I talked about it where year over year, there's actually less condos for sale than the previous year. So we're starting to see a little bit of a change in the condo market here in Honolulu. Now, with that said, I'm going to jump into talking about Makiki like we talked about in the beginning. So in Makiki, I've been having a lot of activity. I've got buyers I've been showing there. I've got a listing there. And I've got another listing coming up. Now, in the Makiki market, they took a real beating too during this condo market downturn and correction. I spoke to one seller there where they had a $200 a month assessment. A listing I've got now, it's got a $700 a month assessment, but that's not going to be there forever. That $700 assessment is actually going to go away in a year and a half. So what's happening is we're starting to see things rebound. There is some really low sales that took place in Makiki over the past year, but now all of a sudden we're starting to see comps close, for prices that we're starting to see before 2004, which is a pleasant sign for sellers. So if you're in the market for a condo in Honolulu or looking to sell your condo in Honolulu, whether you're moving here in 8 days or 80 days, we're here to help. This is David Buck with Harcourt's Island Real Estate, and I can be reached at 808-371-3509. Mahalo.